Michael Shermer here. I wanted to make a little personal video about a little crash I had in a surgery. People have been noticing I have this little scar on my neck. It's actually not a scar yet. It's only a 10-day-old wound. Anyway, I watched a number of videos online about the surgery I had, and it was super helpful. So I'm going to label it the title of this surgery in case anybody wants to watch this, or those of you that have noticed this online or in person, this is the explanation for it. So this surgery is called ACDF, anterior, the front, cervical, the neck, discectomy, they take the discs out, the soft gelatinous material between the vertebrae, and fusion, ACDF, anterior cervical discectomy fusion, ACDF. So that's the surgery that I had. Turns out it wasn't caused by this bike crash I had. It's a long-term, probably 40 years of wear and tear on it, and apparently a lot of people have been getting this, and I had a huge total 100% success. Neck pain is gone that I was experiencing. It was triggered by a bike crash. So this happened on July 26th, right there at that intersection. So I was coming up this road, sorry. I was coming up the road over here, and to make a left turn to come down this road here. This is sort of weird going backwards. So I'm coming up here, and I gotta go a left turn there. And you see that little white car there? Of course, that wasn't the car. This is just a Google search. As I was going left on this road here, and he was blasting down that road, I thought he was just going to go straight. He didn't have a blinker on. He was going high speed, and I leaned into my turn, timed it just so he'd go blasting by, because you don't want to slow down because it could slow down your average miles per hour for the ride. Can't have that, which is really crazy. Anyway, so I swung left, and at the last moment he hit the brakes and turned right in front of me, and I kind of had to hit the brakes and veer around him, which I still would have made it, except as his car passed in front of me, right there in front of me was a pothole. And so I just flicked the handlebars like that, missed the pothole, and took me straight into that curb right there. And I hit that thing full on about 20 miles an hour, boom, and just flipped over the handlebars, and that was the result. My buddy Bob took that picture. My buddy Bob was just a little bit behind me, and as he comes up, he says, "What are you doing in the dirt?" Anyway, I stood up. I could barely stand up, and I couldn't walk, but I could ride. So Bob said, "Well, let's just go up to the little park right around the corner there and get you washed up at blood and dirt all over the place." And so I could ride. It wasn't that bad. And the cell service was kind of dicey, and it would have taken a long time to call a ride home or get an Uber. So we just rode home. So I finished the ride, 54.2 miles, 3 hours and 52 minutes. It's just crazy what cyclists will do. And that's the route, Santa Barbara down to Ventura, and then up around Lake Casitas and home. So it's a beautiful ride. But the problem was, by the time I got home, I couldn't walk at all. And the problem is I landed on my right hip. That's what my right hip looks like from 2013. I had a total hip replacement. And so right down there, you can kind of see there's a crack there. So when I went to the ER and they took this x-ray, they said, this doesn't look good. There's probably a reason why you can't walk. So they took some more x-rays. Actually, they took a CT scan. And so there you could see where the arrow is, a little crack in the pelvis. That big white ball is the artificial joint. It's titanium. And there was a second crack that's on the pelvis that I sit on. So there's nothing to do about that. That was 6 weeks of just laying low for it to heal. But the problem was my neck hurt really bad. So I, wearing a neck brace, big fun. And so I got a CT scan of that, and they said, your neck is not good. So it turns out one of my cycling buddies, Walter Burnham, who I used to train with all the time and had just ridden with him the week before when he was up in Santa Barbara, I told him the story. He said, "You better get down here and let's do an MRI scan." So we did. I went into the MRI machine, which itself was not that easy. I'd been in an MRI machine once before and I couldn't last. It was super claustrophobic and I didn't have any drugs, so I hit the panic button. So Walter said, no problem, it's a great tube. It's a big wide tube, you won't have claustrophobia problem. It wasn't a big wide tube, it was like a coffin. Anyway, I gutted it out. It lasted the 25 minutes in there. And you could see the results. This is an MRI scan. So as Walter explained, that's C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 5, 6, and 7. You can see they're pressing on the spinal cord. That's the spinal cord. And you can see they're kind of rotted out. That's not from the bike crash. That's, by the way, that's the front of the neck. That's the back of the neck there. And so, yeah, it's just gnarly. Just wear and tear. Who knows? 40 years of cycling. I don't know. Walter said, life. So that's what I had done. I had this, so they go in through this side, the front, and they do what they do. I'll show you what they do. So I had this surgery done last Friday, a week and a half ago Friday. So it's 10 days. I'm talking to you 10 days after. Pretty much off the painkillers, just a little achiness, but really the pinch nerve that I had from from that. Well, you can see the pinch nerve. Let's see. I think he has a picture of it here. No, next one. Yeah, okay. So that's the pinch nerve right there. Normally it comes out, the nerve that comes out of the spinal cord and goes down your arm and back and so on. It's pinched there. So it hurt like hell. I mean, I was jacked up on painkillers and I could barely sleep with heating pads and all that stuff. No good. So the surgery, I even tried this, just hanging upside down to try to pull the spine apart. I didn't really do much. So I had the surgery, and it worked. So pain is 100% gone, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty awesome, actually. And I went, well, okay, so this is kind of gruesome. If you're a little squeamish, this is, I asked Walter to snap some pictures in the operating room. So that's me strapped down. I had no idea they were going to do any of this. Of course, I'm totally out. But, they strap your head down, obviously, so you don't move because they're digging around there in your spinal cord. If you go online on YouTube, you can actually see videos of them, the throat open, and they're digging around in there. Not of me. I didn't do that. So that's the cut that they make right there. That's that thing right there. And it's 24 hours later. Not even 24 hours later. No, that's the next day. Here's 24 hours later. And home the next day, out for a walk with Hitch at the beach. No problem. So the recovery, you're home in 24 hours. Actually, probably the worst part of the whole thing, spending the night at the hospital. Not good. They wake you up every hour to give you sleeping pills. Thanks. Not quite. But so that afternoon, so now we're talking 48 hours after the surgery. We're on a booze cruise in Santa Barbara. Sans the booze, Jennifer and little Vinny and I. So yeah, I mean the recovery is pretty amazing. Let's see, there's little Vinny and I on the boat, and there we are hanging out. So and then yesterday I went in. So we're talking now this 10 days after the surgery, and Walter took an X-ray so he could see that everything was coming together. So here is what it looks like. That's the thing that they stick in there. That's on the front. I'll blow it up here. So those are titanium screws that go right into the vertebrae. And let's see, and that's a blow up of the front. So this is like right there. Unbelievable that they can do this. And you're out so quickly. It's just amazing. So that's the story. I'm done. I'm good. Walter said I could ride my bike. I'm going to leave the studio here and go for a bike ride. So it's just amazing. It's not a miracle, not a religious miracle. It's a medical miracle. And if anything, I should be thanking Dr. Walter. Dr. Walter Burnham, thanks for taking good care of me. Anyway, that's the story. If you have to get this surgery, go for it. I mean, they've got it down. It's really, they've really got it, the process down now. You recover quite quickly. So that's the story. Signing off.